Hey y'all, Fuzzy Biker out here in the Talamina Trail on the Oklahoma side. Check out this view right quick. We are here to talk about some problems with the Royal Enfield Himalayan 452, and I'm being a little facetious because I think it's a great bike. Go out and buy one. But I'm going to tell you, I've got about almost 4,400 miles on it, or about 4,400 miles on it. I got it a week ago, 2 weeks ago today, and I've been keeping a running list of what I have to think about it, what I think about it. I'm gonna read you real quick what I got on my list. The tank's too small, only when you drive it too fast. We took it in the backwoods, and we were getting 60s, 66, 68 miles a gallon. A friend of mine just texted me, said he was getting the 70s on his. Where I got the worst mileage, I did a 1,000-mile ride the other day, and I did that in one day, and at one point I was going about as fast as the bike will go, and I was getting about 37 miles a gallon. And so it's a 4-gallon tank. They claim it's a 4.5, a 17 liter, but I ran out of gas at 4 gallons at the gas pump, and it took 4.01 gallons. Next thing would be leg room. It's kind of tight. You know, you got this real tight triangle here, and the pegs are high. Your feet, you feel like you're kind of squished up in there. Now here again, I took it on a 1,000-mile ride, and that just was not a problem. One of the reasons the pegs are there is because when you stand up, they want the bike to be able to stand up on. It's an ADV style bike, and they want you to be able to stand up in a good position, and it does that perfectly. So I hate to complain about that, but I just did. Trip meter. So this is kind of an interesting one. When you turn the bike on, there's supposed to be a trip meter down here. I'll show you here when it comes on here. Right down here, there's supposed to be a trip meter. Well, it's not there. But if you go here to the joystick, beautiful joystick, just touch it like that. Well, there it is. Now you can go trip 1, trip 2, you know, fuel range, all kinds of neat things. And but when you shut the bike off and then turn it back on, it's gone. It's gone. Where'd it go? So every time, you know, let's say I wanted to leave it on remaining fuel range. That's where I'd like to leave it. Every time I turn the bike on, I gotta hit that joystick, jump down there a couple notches, and there it is. Shouldn't have to do that, I don't think. They should be able to solve that with software, I would think. It is a, you know, it's a very small thing, but if you ride a lot, it's a big deal, and I ride a lot. Nav system, had a little trouble figuring out how to get to it, and I did figure that out. There is some work to it, but it's not that difficult once you know the system. There's a couple things about this bike where you have to know the system. It's kind of like well, it's just part of the deal, I guess. The next one is gauge view. So the gauge is, I think the angle is fine. I wish it was either taller or farther forward. Now the reason it's not is this is an ADV bike. You know, they want to keep this whole area compact. And I get that, but I wear a full face helmet. When I'm wearing the full face helmet, if I have my helmet in the up, you know, when you move around on the bike, when you drive a long ways, you move your helmet around. If I have it in the right spot, I can't see the gauge unless I tilt my head down because the chin bar gets in the way. If I have it down, I can see it, but it's still, you know, it would be nice if it were a little easier. What can they do about it? I don't know. Maybe they don't need to do anything about it. I think I can live with that. It's really not that big of a deal. Windshield. Ha! The vein of life. Windshield. So a lot of people out there, oh, you don't need a windshield. Well, you don't. This is the big windshield for Royal Enfield. They make a smaller one. You know, I have my friends who have the other Royal Enfields with the smaller windshields. They ride them and they say, oh, I can't tell the difference. They rode my bike, they rode their bikes. Can't tell the difference, can't tell the difference. Well, I rode one the other day with the small windshield and I could tell the difference. It was barely noticeable, but it was there. And I will say that the only thing I can really see that's a big advantage of this windshield is if you get a Garmin or something, you should be able to put it back here protected. Now I don't know if I don't know if that'll actually work or not, but that's the one thing I could see there. Otherwise, it gives you a little bit of protection in you know, just a little bit, enough that you can tell. It keeps the wind off you from about here down, but it's not big enough. I'd like it to be bigger. And again, I understand why it's this small. That, you know, it's an ADV bike, all that neat stuff. The other thing is, I'd like it so that right now the bugs, I drive through bugs, I get a lot of bugs on my windscreen. If a windshield is made right, those bugs might fly over a little higher. You might get, or at least you might at least get fewer bugs. Next thing I got on here is vibrations. Vibrations. Well, there are vibrations, and that's kind of an interesting thing. If you go to your store and test drive, especially the newer ones, they get a little less vibey when they get some miles on them. They you'll feel it in the pegs, and you'll feel it in the up here in the grips, mainly in the pegs. And I thought that would be a problem. When I picked the bike up from Royal Enfield, they gave us this as a demo. The rubbers were gone out of here. Now, I I have driven one other Himalayan, new one, 452, and it had the rubbers in there. I don't know if I'm not going to put the rubbers. I'm trying to buy this bike. I don't think I'm going to put the rubbers back in there. I think I've gotten used to it. I did take this, like I said, I took this on a 1,000-mile ride. It just wasn't an issue. I think it's noticeable, but not terrible. It's just there. Same thing with the grips. You know, I did that 1,000-mile ride, and one of the things I worried about, and I had gloves on the whole time. One of the things I worried about, if you hold Vivy grips for too long, you start feeling like you're holding onto a bigger and bigger baseball bat, you know. And I just did not have that trouble. You know, the more I rode, the less I could, maybe I just couldn't feel anymore. Maybe it was me, huh? Gear sensitivity is the next one. So I got a lot to say about the engine on this thing, but gear sensitivity is with the transmission. If you are, you know, I just ran through Kansas City, I think it was yesterday, and I had a ball. It was a lot of fast traffic, a lot of fun. I had to jump up and down between 5th and 6th gear to do, to do my best work. On my super meter, I didn't have to do that. It has a little more torque at the bottom end. This one's just a little more sensitive, and I do notice that just driving around hill country, especially at lower speeds, it's not terribly gear sensitive, but it is gear sensitive. Okay, let's throw that list away. I want to talk about this engine. So it's 40 horsepower, 30 foot-pounds of torque, 40 newton meters of power. It's a great engine, and it has everything you need. And it's one of the reasons this bike is so light and so fabulous to ride. Is just a great power plant. Having said that, it has plenty of torque, but you do have to have in the right gears, all that neat stuff. And it does not have a slipper clutch. That's something I don't know that you need a slipper clutch. When I was young, and I never had slipper clutches, but if you let the clutch out too bad, you might trip the back tire a little bit. A slipper clutch allows it, if you let the clutch out too fast, it allows it to slip so you don't drag the back tire or do any other kind of damage. Speaking of clutch, this lever here is, when it's adjusted properly, when I got this bike, it was real loose and adjusted properly. There's a very big distance here. And I can make it work just fine, but it doesn't. I ride a lot of motorcycles, and this is one of the biggest distances when the bike is adjusted properly, clutch is adjusted properly, of any of them. So maybe an aftermarket lever is in order here, but I don't know that I'm going to do that because I've gotten used to it. It's really not an issue for me now, but in the beginning it was. Another quick thing to point out, I guess, is the seat. When I got this bike, I thought it was a very comfortable seat. It still is a very comfortable seat, but it is starting to get soft. And that's a common problem that happens with new motorcycles. You get the seat, they want it to be soft because most people ride short rides. On long rides, you want a firmer seat. And this is the standard stock seat. I did a 1,000-mile ride on it. I thought it was great that day. I did 600 miles yesterday, and I'm starting to think it's starting to get a little soft. I usually wear a seat out between 8 and 10,000 miles. When this one wears out, I'm going to get the Royal Enfield touring seat. Now, if Seat Concepts were to make a seat for this motorcycle, I would truly consider that. I really would. So what about brakes or suspension or any of that? So I don't have any complaints about that yet. The brakes work far better than the last bike. The suspension is just amazing on this thing. It's not adjustable except for preload. So if you put a bunch of gear on, you can jack up the preload if you want. I've got it on medium setting right there. I do like the way they've done the link on this. There's no link underneath, the link used to stick down below. And they've done a very good job that way, I think it's a very good looking motorcycle. Just a fabulous thing. Luggage options, that's another thing. I don't think it lends itself to a tank bag very well. You do have these areas here. I'm thinking about putting bag maybe on the other sides, right? Just for little things. On the back, they have the hard bag option. I don't know if I want to go that route. I'm not sure yet. I'd rather have soft bags. My good buddy Mark in Colorado, we're going to go to Colorado. This is Friday. I'm supposed to be there Sunday or Monday. He has got a Himalayan, and he was sending me some pictures of options that he's looked at. And I think there's a lot of, I'd like to have a soft top bag and then 2 removable soft side bags, 1 on each side. That way I can have, like my camping gear and stuff on one side, miscellaneous here, food on the other side. When I get there, I can take these off, leave the back one on, or do whatever. I can pack them separately. I don't have to do everything. I don't have to access everything, including what's inside through the top bag. And I think that would be, anyway, this is what I'm doing now. I've got this net on the back and kind of making do with what we got in the backpack. I wore the backpack all day yesterday. It's been a pretty good bike. It's been a pretty good bike. The tire at 4,400 miles, let's take a look at that right quick. It's just not too bad, is it? You can see that I've done a lot of highway rolling on it. It's far off the sensors yet. You know, here's the wear limiters, very far off that yet. If I can get 10,000 off that tire, I might try that again. Although I'm very tempted by the new, I had Dunlop Trail Max Missions on my last Himalayan, my 411. I'm very tempted to try the new Dunlop Trail Max Raids. That might be an interesting tire. So those are the shortcomings as I see them on this motorcycle at this point. Oh, also dirt bike handles. It has that kind of a dirt bike motory feel, but it's not terribly peaky or anything like that. Matter of fact, it's not peaky at all. It has a 8,000 RPM red line. So I think it's a great bike. I think if you're interested in one of these, go down and test drive one. See if you can test drive one for a long ride. It's just been a beautiful thing. I'm absolutely in love with it. Of course, I knew I would be. I'm the biggest fanboy, Royal Enfield fanboy there is, you know. So, but now, I saw a bear. I just down the road coming up here, I saw a bear. It was a cub. My instinct was to stop, but you know, it was a cub, and it was a bear, and it was a cub, and I didn't know where the mother was, so I just kept on going until I found this place. But it's just been a fabulous trip. I'm out here, and I'm on the Oklahoma side of the Talamina Trail. I was in Arkansas this morning. I started over yonder. That's where my tent is set up. Life is good. If you're interested in a bike like this, and you're used Royal Enfield, Triumph, classic British bike of any type, need parts, accessories, thingamajigs, doodads, stuff, gloves, jackets, like this beautiful Royal Enfield Nervic jacket that I'm wearing today, get yourself over to Baxter Cycle in the mighty metropolis of Marnie, Iowa, or go to baxtercycle.com. Tell those fine folks that Fuzzy Biker, that's me, sent you. Now it's a beautiful day out here. It is a gorgeous day out here. I'm going to hop back on that fabulous motorcycle and go for a ride. Y'all do the same if you can. Life is good. Wahoo! Yippee-yi-yay! Yippee-yi-yo! Down the road we go. Beautiful, beautiful machine.